If there were any doubts that the next generation of gaming has arrived, they can finally be put to rest with the release of Fight Night Round 3 for the Xbox 360. EA Sports' newest entry to the boxing franchise has amazing graphics, a small amount of upgrades, and a decent amount of fun. It was clear when the Fight Night demo was released a couple months ago that next-gen graphics had finally arrived, and the full version of the game only confirms that. Skin textures sport blemishes and freckles, particles of dust float in the sunlight, and sweat flies off whoever's face is on the receiving end of a punch. EA Sports made the right decision in removing the HUD during the fights. You can choose to use it if you want, but you really won't have to. The 360's graphics are so good that you'll be able to tell exactly what shape your boxer is in and how close he is to getting dropped to the canvas. It definitely adds to the realism of the game. Of course, one of the most publicized graphical elements of Fight Night was the knockdown replays, and for good reason. You're pretty much guaranteed to wince every time you see your boxer's face ripple as your opponent's fist mashes into the side of his face. You'll also be morbidly pleased to see how beat up you and your opponent have gotten in between rounds, as you both frantically try to heal your boxer. Also, it's important to note how great the sound effects are. From your boxer's heavy breathing to your lips splitting and neck cracking, Fight Night Round 3 really immerses you with its sound design. The venues are incredibly detailed too, especially the Windy City Gym, which really captures the look of a gritty downtown boxing arena. The lighting in each location is well done too, and it really helps to make you feel like you're a part of the environment. If you've never played a Fight Night game, it's important to keep one thing in mind before starting up Round 3. It's not a fighting game. Not in the traditional sense anyway. Instead, you should consider it a boxing sim. Round 3 retains a lot of the same gameplay that made Round 2 so popular. Total punch control has remained, where you control all of your punches by simply using the right stick. If you're not familiar with this type of control though, it can take a little getting used to. But there are also 6 different kinds of control setups, so you should be able to find the configuration that best suits you. The team at EA Chicago also improved upon the haymaker technique in Round 3. By winding the stick back in varying degrees, you can inflict a normal haymaker, a flash KO where you immediately prime your opponent for a knockdown, and a stun punch, which initiates a kind of mini-game from your opponent's perspective as you furiously try to knock him down. Of course, parrying or dodging any of these larger attacks means an immediate opportunity to counterattack and cause some major damage. There's no doubt that the game is full of strategy when it comes to the fighting mechanics. But in order to implement that strategy, it seems as though the game has slowed down a bit since Round 2. If there's one word to describe the experience of playing Round 3, it's inconsistent. There are times when you land a punch and it barely feels like you've touched your opponent. But then there are other times when you hit him so hard that you think you've just knocked off his jaw. There is a very impressive creative fighter mode, but the career mode seems to have been dumbed down a bit. Rankings have been all but erased. Also, the mode can get a little repetitive as all your opponents start to blend into one. In addition, and this could totally be the curse of trying to create a realistic boxing game, there are times when you find yourself sitting through a 25-minute long bout. Now, no matter how great the graphics are, that can get a little tedious. Those first 5 to 10 minutes are a blast, but as the match continues, the boxers get more and more fatigued, which basically means they just get slower. Now, while that adds to the realism, it kind of takes the fun out of the overall experience. The quality of the gameplay in Fight Night is more subjective than any other game in recent memory. A room full of inexperienced gamers can play this game for hours, yelling and cheering at every knockdown close-up. But experienced gamers can sit frustrated for 25 minutes trying to knock each other down just once. The game's graphics will go a long way to draw people in, regardless of whether they're a boxing fan or not. But the oftentimes sluggish fighting might turn some people off. The enjoyment you receive from Fight Night Round 3 may be based on how much of a boxing fan you are. Ironically, if you know nothing about the sport, you'll probably enjoy it more than if you do. And those who feel starved for a new 360 game probably won't regret picking it up, as it is one of the best looking titles on the system. As long as you know that the game is not your typical fast-paced fighter, you should be more than content.